An explosion underground in the garage section of the World Trade Center in New York City has killed now 3 people, according to the New York Port Authority. Hundreds of people are still being evacuated from the twin-story towers of the structure.
Rick Rescorla was head of security with Morgan Stanley. Dean Witter. So in '93, Rick was very instrumental in getting people out. I mean, he took personal command of it, and there was really no one else to make these decisions. Rick did it.
Rick was on scene for and didn't sleep, I think, for 2 or 3 days after that bombing.
Rick called, and he said, well, they just bombed, the World Trade Center. I said, you hurt? And he said, no. He said, but I want you up here. Get on a damn plane, get up here. I'm going to hire you as a consultant again.
I would say I started to consult for him professionally around '93, just before the bombing, because we all expected this to happen one way or another. We knew that this was going to be a target from every kind of resource we had. We just believed it, and Rick prepared accordingly.
He realized that there were people who hated the United States and were crazy enough to do things we couldn't imagine. So he warned everybody about this possibility.
I told him, Rick, regardless of what you know, you cannot get these people that you're working with to understand the danger that really exists. They never have lived in the world you and I have lived in.
Because he was a soldier in Vietnam, Rick was exposed to things that many people are not.
When I took the platoon at Fort Benning, told them, look, we are going to survive through some rough times here, and you're going to have to train, and you're not going to like me what I'm going to do to you here now. And hardcore was our motto, and we try to live by it.
He got to know his troops, their names, their wives. Therefore, when these guys started getting shot to ribbons, it affected Rick deeply.
He had expressed his concerns to the board of directors at Morgan Stanley because he truly expected another attack.
So after a few years, he brought me back up to New York to do another physical security survey. And him and me went through the building again. He said, oh, it looks to me like they can't hit me. I said, yeah, they can, from the air. Less than 30 miles away, here's Newark Airport. Shh. Planes coming in and taking off, 3 minutes apart.
We imagined cargo planes with explosives being flown in. I had a Microsoft Flight Simulator on my computer, and I do remember that terrible sinking feeling when I was running airliners into the World Trade Center. The men with evil intentions are way ahead of us. They have to be.
And Rick actually recommended that the company move. Rick made it clear we were not playing games. This is very serious. If something happened like '93, we had to be prepared to get out quickly. The only way you can do that is have practice drills.
After '93, Rick became so vigilant, making sure we all knew how to get out of the building. We had fire drills twice a month. We had to do the full walking down the steps. At that time, I could go downstairs with my eyes closed and know where I was going.
He would say that in times of crisis, men don't rise to the occasion. They default to their training. So he knew what training meant.
Things will come home to roost of cavalier actions that we're taking now out there. When you're talking about the future wars, we're talking about engaging in Los Angeles. We're talking about terrorist actions. We're not going to be toe-to-toeing on a battlefield. And in the future, we're going to see some action that we've never seen before.
Not been able to see what, if any, kind of an aircraft is inside the building, the entire side of this tower right now.
It looked like an inverse snowstorm. sheets of paper were going up instead of down, and they were on fire. It did not make sense.
Suddenly, I get the call from Rick. From the moment it happened, Rick knew that it was a terrorist attack. I of course, was just crying, and he said to me very calmly, he said to me, "Stop crying. I have to get everyone out."
There was an announcement that a plane had hit building number 1. There was no danger to building number 2. As soon as the plane hit building number 1, Rick started the evacuation. He didn't wait for orders from the Port Authority or anybody else.
Knew where to go just by rote. I went straight to the exit, and Rick was on the other side at that time.
I called his wife and told her, Rick's been in tight spots before, he'll get out. While I'm talking to her, that second plane made that big turn. Wacko! Hit South Tower, Rick's building.
When the impact happened, I was blown out of my shoes and I hit the marble wall where Rick was standing, and Rick and I both were knocked to the floor. At all times, even on the floor, I was within inches of Rick. He was on that bullhorn in the pitch black, reassuring people that the lights would come on, just stay calm, don't panic.
No one knew what was going on. We were just walking, and then I saw Rick. And when I saw Rick, it was like, oh, there's Rick. Okay, so this is good. It's a good thing. Rick wasn't smiling, and Rick always smiled, but he had the bullhorn, and he was saying, "We're good Americans. Walk down slowly. Be good Americans."
The phone rings again, it's Rick. And I said, "Where'd that thing hit?" He said, "Above me."
And it was very difficult getting to the stairwell. We had to avoid fires. Well, we finally got to the stairwell. There were 4 of us, and we were among the last people coming down. Here's Rick in the stairwell. I said, "Rick, you've got to get out of here also." He said, "Oh, John, I will." He said, "I just want to make sure we got everybody out."
Everyone who knew him knew he'd gone back up. You leave no man behind.
He called back and said, "Call Susan again." And I called her and was talking to her, and South Tower come down.
I just watched in amazement as the South Tower came down, and it was all over. And of course, I was just screaming and crying. I thought, oh, please, God, please let me just... maybe this miracle can happen and he can come back.
He could not have lived with himself unless he was the last man out of that building, unless he was absolutely convinced that everybody else was dead and there was nobody else he could save.
I know he did what he did. He had to do it. He died the way he lived, a courageous man who was always looking out for the other man and responsible, and who was a man of courage. And so now I can say, I am so proud. I am so proud.
Congressional Medal of Honor Society of the United States of America, on behalf of the recipients of the Medal of Honor, recognize Rick Rescorla as the recipient of 2009 Above and Beyond Citizens Honors.
I think he would have been particularly proud to receive the Citizens Award from the Medal of Honor recipients. These are his fellow soldiers, and men would be at the top of his list to admire. So an award from them, that would have really moved him.
He admired that medal very much. The hero of this nation's greatest heroes. What the hell better can you get? There is no better accolade.
I think he would have been very proud, but he wouldn't have ballyhooed it. That wasn't why he did it. So, a great guy. Great guy. He's missed.